Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Monday.
Bombshell moment from Marvel with their giant Hull H panel. And they showed everybody, they brought everybody out. We know that the Thunderbolts movie is going to be coming, so we got Harrison Ford pretending to be the Hulk, the Red Hulk, stuff like that. You had all kinds of different movies that are going to be on the way, but of course you know how Marvel does. They're never satisfied with just what's going to be coming out soon. They want to be letting us know what's going to be coming out years and years from now. And they have announced that they have kind of pivoted, and they're going kind of backwards. Might be the best plan possible, seeing as how nobody's really all that super thrilled with what they've been putting out lately, other than Deadpool and Wolverine, that the Russo brothers, who directed 2 of the Avengers movies, will be back to do 2 more, and that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be back, but not as Iron Man, as Doctor Doom, I guess. But they've never cast the same actor as 2 different characters in Marvel properties like they did with Chris Evans or Michael B. Bolton or Michelle Yeoh or Josh Brolin or even Ryan Reynolds himself, or what about Gemma Chan or Jon Favreau, Idris Elba? The list goes on, okay? They've done it many times before.
Tuesday.
Getting together in as big a way as possible to help out with those displaced and those who are facing, destruction of their homes and businesses and properties in Jasper. The village itself has seen approximately 30% destruction due to wildfire. Thankfully, it's really anticipated that no further damage will happen. There's no immediate threat at this time, but it's still going to take a long time. I do recall in great detail, great grisly detail, 2016 being here and being evacuated like everybody was. And there was something that was a touchstone piece of vital information that was shared by somebody who actually was having an experience of being an evacuee during the Slave Lake wildfires, I believe 2015 is when that happened, and it was from Mandy Larson. This was something that has now been shared around a lot. It has been something that is kind of attached to information that people gather and share to make sure that people are donating to the right place and have up to the minute, details about things like this, but it's just kind of become part of the tapestry. So big thank you into the past to Mandy Larson for sharing it. We're going to put it up on a blog, up on the website cruiseradio.com if you haven't seen it in a while, but basically saying, dear evacuees, from her experience during the Slave Lake fires, there's some information. Might not pertain to everybody, but it might help. He did get all the cheers from the people in the stands. Maybe a couple of wolf whistles as well. I'm talking about the swim cap retriever, the swim cap catcher at the Summer Games. Bob the Cap Catcher, originally just a mystery man, international mystery man, was just getting all of the attention and love as he was asked simply to go get a cap from one of the athletes that had sunk to the bottom of the pool. Simple as that. Got to get that out of there. No foreign objects, all that. And as soon as he was in his Speedo walking along the way, not with a Phelpsian chiseled physique, but just average healthy dude. People loved it. They ate it right up. I love this so much. And, people always call for this kind of thing, where you actually want to see the average, only sort of athletic person compete in all these events before the athletes do, so that we really get a sense of how incredible their feats of strength and achievement actually are. And that's why he got such a wild cheer from the crowd. Hey, look! It's one of us! And he's going in the pool!
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
Huge congratulations. This is really, really cool. To an Albertan, a model and talented actor as well, as so many other talents, and a lot of brains behind as well. Talking about Ashley Collingbull of the Enoch Cree First Nation and the winner of Miss Universe Canada just this week. Yeah, it was official. We shared an image of the day of the preliminaries for that national competition before the international universe competition of the outfit, the national outfit that she's going to have to represent Canada should she win. Absolutely incredible. When we shared that, it wasn't a locked-in thing yet, but now it is. Ashley Collingbull has become Miss Universe Canada at the Capitol Theatre in Windsor, Ontario, the very first Indigenous woman to win the title of Miss Universe Canada, and First Nations representative from North America to compete at Miss Universe. So, historic moment Very, very cool. And beyond that as well, she's going to have a lot of time to get ready, to get prepared, and get excited about the actual Miss Universe competition when it happens in November, representing Canada. I'm telling you, when that's going down, keep your eye out for the outfit.
Wednesday.
The big question asked way too early, that is, how big? Big. I'm talking big. And it is all about, well, the Olympics, inspired by the Summer Games that are happening as we speak. So many events, live coverage from CBC broadcasting for Canada. They've got the exclusive rights, and they're doing it 22 hours a day. I saw in an ad earlier. I thought that was funny. 22 hours, not the full 24. You don't get that. But the big question is, what useless thing are you Olympic level good at? You know, what useless thing are you just absolutely gold medalist in? But it doesn't really matter because it's kind of useless. I can think of several things for me. Most of my talents are useless talents, to be perfectly honest. But it's not about me, it's about you. What is that useless thing that you are just insanely good at? Let me know. Text it, or you can call the line 780-715-2789 as well. Whatever works best for you, but best answer is going to be right here, shared on air. We've got it posted on social as well. The big question. What useless thing are you Olympic level good at? Now time to get into...
It's time for Cruz Music News with Steve Reeve.
Oh, that's fun. That's new. Well, not the doing the music news thing. Just a fun new intro. Starting off with stories from the Olympic opening ceremonies, at least. The backlash that has been caught by French metal band Gojira, who happen to have been the first metal band to ever take part in an Olympic ceremony of any kind, but being called a satanic practice by people who just, I guess, don't understand metal still. I don't know if this is 1986 or not. Thought it was 2024, but, you know, never mind. They are just saying in response in an interview with Rolling Stone that it's just simply French history. It's just French charm, you know, side of a castle, beheading people, red wine. It's romantic, it's normal, there's nothing satanic about it. Meanwhile, speaking of France and the Olympic opening ceremonies, many people were cheering on Celine Dion as she made a huge comeback at that event, and actually, turns out she performed for free. It's the first performance that she has been able to do, largely public performance, after revealing that she was been suffering from stiff person syndrome. That diagnosis was made public in 2022. Some people had falsely reported a $2 million paycheck for the one song in Paris. But no, Olympic Committee has said no, she volunteered her time and talents for it.
Thursday.
The shooting event for the Olympics, I mean, there's several different events, but the shooting category has gotten a lot of attention. And it's largely because of two individuals who were very, very well placed as far as their performance, their medals. One from Korea, South Korea's sharpshooter Kim Ye-ji, and her high-tech gear. She looks so cool, calm, collected. I mean, kind of reminded me of something out of like an action movie, maybe like a John Wick kind of thing. Or maybe even to the point of being like a Blade Runner character with all the gear that is on her face. I mean, a laser-focused pinpoint as well as ear protection. You know, it's a loud thing and everything. But looking so cool. I mean, just the face, the expression she had. Just absolutely incredible as she broke records in the category, in the event. I mean, you can't be much cooler than that. And the internet was feeling that way. Until the silver medal winner managed to completely steal the thunder. Yusuf Dicek, who just from Turkey, completely gearless. Just a natural shooter, he says. Just a natural shooter. I mean, he just showed up. He's got a t-shirt that says Turkey on it, but it kind of just looks like he's like someone's dad, you know? Just got some skills that you never even knew about. You go to the shooting range to have a fun day, and then you're just completely scooped by this guy. He's a ringer. Starting off with a story about Travis Barker of Blink-182 and auctioning off the boarding pass that is representative of the end of 13 years of not flying. And the reason that he wasn't flying might be obvious. Of course, he was in a plane crash. 4 other people on board lost their lives. He himself had third-degree burns on most of his body. He spent months in hospital, 26 surgeries, an absolutely impactful event on his life, and took him 13 years to be able to fly again. In 2021, he was on a trip to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. He's now auctioning off this piece of paper, the boarding pass from that very flight, for $8,000, but the proceeds going towards the Lost But Not Forgotten charity helping teenagers in crisis with giving them support. Chrissy Hind is saying the Pretenders don't need to play arenas. They could, but they prefer not to. After a recent show, they took to the internet, Instagram, Chrissy Hind saying that they wanted to make a better experience, not just for the audience, the fans, but for themselves as well. Clubs and theaters are just better for all involved.
Hey Alexa, play the Steve Reeve podcast.
We didn't really have a target that we were shooting to with the Alberta Day of Caring for Jasper just yesterday, but we can tell you how much was raised, asterisk, so far, from all the monetary donations that were going in at adayofcaring.com, with the doubling and even tripling of the donations, thanks to the pledge from the Alberta government as well as the Canadian government to match the donations. That means that when we were calling the total number last night in the evening, it was at $1.5 million plus. That's insane and amazing, and of course lots of support is going to be needed for the people of Jasper, not just in the town site, of course the entire national park and First Nations. The Alberta Wildfires Appeal is going to be dedicated to long-term help and relief for people in those areas. Thanks to everybody who gave a little bit of money for that, as well as giving bottles. That's the only part that we don't really know about just yet, and we do know we're going to get the update after the long weekend and the count is all complete Tuesday morning as to the total number raised. Special treat, get joined in the studio here by Mike Jones with the Canadian Mental Health Association of the Wood Buffalo region, CMHA. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
It's a busy summer.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. We just wrapped up Food Festival, and it's like straight into it. It hasn't stopped.
We want to get people outside in September for the First Responders Golf Tournament coming back again. This is the 7th annual, and I know that there's something new for this year. So there's the golf tournament as usual. Public can sign up for that, get a team and support. But the day before that, on September 5th, there's a 9-hole scramble for first responders exclusively. What's that about?
This is one of the things, we've gotten some feedback from some of the first responders, and they always love coming out, but it ends up being such a huge event. Like, it sells out every year. Everyone's having a blast, and they're like, you know what? We kind of want our own little thing to sort of cut loose.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm like, what a great idea. A lot of these guys are working overtime and working extra hours and trying to keep everybody safe. And it's just like, can we pay tribute to them, and how can we do that? And it's like, well, let's treat them to a day of golf or a night of golf, and let's get them hooked up with some sponsorships. So what we've been doing is we've been selling teams for $500. Local companies, they can get some good advertising and some good karma as well, and a charitable tax receipt, all the usual stuff. But at the same time, they're actually sponsoring that $500 is sending 4 nurses or 4 veterans or 4 police, 4 EMS, 4 firefighters out on the golf course for that day to have a great evening and not have to worry about paying for it that night.
One thing that I witnessed, because I've come and helped out and kind of announced the beginning of this tournament for a few years, and one thing that I noticed is that obviously big crowd, and there's a lot of first responders that are in that crowd, and they're feeling the need to also support other first responders, which is great, which is fantastic. But this is a way to just support first responders, and they don't have to give on that day.
To give back to them. I mean, it is funny you bring that up, because I've heard a lot of them being like, you know what, I'm planning on golfing in both.
Straight up, they still have the option
on Friday and have a good time as well, but we kind of want our own little spot and be around themselves.
Exactly. Have a bit of a chin wag between peers.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, totally.
100%, yeah.
So that open for sponsorships from local business. It's like you said, $500 a team for the Thursday, but for Friday, September 6th, as usual, open to the public. Still open for registration.
We have lots of sponsorship packages for that as well that include teams. So if you guys just wanted to get your boys out for a day on the golf, or the girls, and you can do that. So just reach out to us at CMHA Wood Buffalo. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or you can just purchase your tickets directly at firstrespondersgolf.com.
Easy. Makes it easy. And I see 60% sold is your latest update.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just, I think we sold about 8 teams there yesterday. So that's
even
we're now
even
well over the
higher
halfway mark. So
meaning
it
don't
sells out
wait.
every year, usually in the last week, as you know, for McMurray, a very last minute town. But this year, I have a feeling we're not going to make it to that last week.
Yeah,
so I'd get on it quicker than later.
If you want to lock it in, I'd say best bet, do it right away. Lock that in, make some plans, get out of work for the day on Friday, September 6th, and support the Canadian Mental Health Association and first responders in our region.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
all the money raised goes to mental health programming here in the community, and we're able to keep our doors open, and we're able to provide all of the services we do and provide them for free.
Yeah.
Because we know that like a lot of services are not cheap. So we subsidize those, or we keep those free, and that's a big part of, this is our biggest fundraiser of the year.
Fantastic. Well, woodbuffalo.cmha.ca for the direct website, or firstrespondersgolf.com to get yourself registered for that, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities. Thanks again for your time, Mike, and we'll see you then.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Friday.
One of our own athletes. You might have seen the viral moment of triathlete Tyler Mislachuk throwing up no less than 10 times after swimming in the Seine River, which, has not been swimmable due to pollution, basically sewage and E. coli levels being a major concern, but they spent a ton of money to try and clean that up. He did 9th placement in his race. He was in contention for getting a medal, but it faded, and he had to do some upchucking, some ralphing. He does not attribute it to the river and the condition of the water, though, and I think it's extremely diplomatic of him to do so. Personally, I think he might be just trying to, I don't know, keep things at a certain level and not get himself or anybody in trouble, but he said it was the high temperatures. It has been soaring temps. They've been literally cooling down the crowd with just spraying water. Not even nice misting. Hoses. They've just been hosing people down to keep them cooler. He says he's used to training in a cooler climate, a.k.a. Canada. That does make sense. And this is a person who's been showing up at these games for years now. He was in Rio 2016, Tokyo 2020, different temperatures all over the world. As a world-class athlete, you got to be ready for those kinds of things. But nobody wants to be caught on internationally broadcast video throwing up 10 times after getting out of a race. Not good. But then again, I have the feeling like I might need to throw up after swimming about 1/10 of the amount that he did. Oh, it's the long weekend. It's here. Well, almost. Got to get through the Friday if you're still working. We're also in a town that sometimes the long weekend doesn't make any difference whatsoever with the shift work, but still, great many of us excited for a little extra time off, possibly this being the most varied holiday name in Canada. A little confusion on the phone to the distant relatives. We call it Heritage Day. BC, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick all just name it after themselves. None of it Northwest Territories. They just observe Civic Holiday. Nova Scotia has Natal Day. Manitoba does Terry Fox Day, as he hailed from there. Ontario, they do Civic Holiday kind of in general, but they even have differences by city. Toronto does Simcoe Day. Guelph has John Galt Day. Meanwhile, Ottawa knows it as Colonel By Day, and there's a pile of others too. Yukon, they sit it out. They say no thanks, but they do have Discovery Day later in August. PEI doesn't officially take part, but they kind of effectively do. And meanwhile, Quebec says non. And Newfoundland and Labrador doesn't quite take part, but they do have staggered days off from July through August, depending on the town, part of the shop's closing act. And now that I'm finally finished explaining all of that, the long weekend's practically over. Remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? It's been 10 years. It was July and August of 2014 when that was happening. Remembering when people were dumping ice water on themselves in a viral video sharing moment that was aimed at raising funds for ALS research, treatment, and prevention. You remember that? You remember it? Well, a lot of people still roll their eyes at the memory of that. And while there were some blunders, like people getting absolutely demolished because their friends couldn't hold on to an entire cooler filled with water, holding it above their heads, who'd have thunk that could go wrong? But don't be too cynical about it. That challenge raised over $220 million, and Canada just so happens to be the most generous country in that campaign per capita. We showed up. And the money has led to several breakthroughs and related gene discoveries, therapies, etc. Just 2 years ago, 2 new ALS treatments were approved in the U.S., and they were both developed with the funds from the Ice Bucket Challenge. From the actual Ice Bucket Challenge. It did good, not bad, for a silly internet fad. I don't want to do it again, though. That was chilly.
Thanks for listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
First story is Brian Adam. He's coming out of the woodwork with new news. He's going to launch his own record label, and that announcement also came with a new double A side single release. What does that mean for the kids who don't remember A-sides, B-sides? Well, it just means that it's like 2 major singles kind of in one. He calls the Bad Records as the name of the new venture, and announced just this morning 2 songs as part of the release will be shared as part of the brand, and they are actually 2 songs originally written for Kiss for their 1982 album Creatures of the Night, interestingly enough. The very first musician to be the subject of a statue in Statutory Hall in the U.S. will be Johnny Cash. None other than. It's pretty much other, politicians, dignitaries that he's going to be sharing the space with as far as the other statues. But at the U.S. Capitol, Johnny Cash will be honored there with a sculpture erected next month. As well, as far as new music, Jack White did a surprise release of his new album called No Name, only released originally at his 3-man record stores. But as of today, it's a wide release, so you're able to listen to the whole thing. Meanwhile, The Killer's confirming a new single, which will be coming next week, called Bright Lights.
Over 40,000 texts, 8 competing neighborhoods, 4 weeks. And now the Battle of the Neighborhoods 2024 with 100.5 Cruz FM is done. And there's only one thing left to do. Your winner is...
Thickwood! It's Thickwood! Thickwood winning it out. That means a first-time win for that neighborhood, as let's do the rollback. First 2 years we had winners, it was Abasan, both of them. Then we had Timberlea winning it, as we had the return of Battle of the Neighborhoods after, pandemic restriction. But now it's 2024, and a new champion has been crowned. Thickwood takes the trophy this year. It was a huge battle over the last 4 weeks, and in the total tally, it was a difference of 1,133 votes. That's all. That was the gap between Abasan and Thickwood. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And we have to give thanks again to our huge sponsors making this barbecue for the winning neighborhood possible. For Thickwood, talking Legacy Dodge, Culligan Water, Cal Tire, and the agency. Thickwood bested out all of the other neighborhoods. In the top 8 round, in the top 4 round, in the top 2 round, came out on top. So Barbecue Extravaganza is on the way. Keep it locked on our Facebook page at Community Cruise for the updates, as well as the website cruiseradio.com to find out more as we know more about the upcoming barbecue. We're aiming for August 17th.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.